Hello, today I will be talking about IUPAC nomenclature, and in order to understand today's lesson, you're going to have to know about Lewis structures and alkanes. And for those who need a quick review, alkanes are simply organic molecules that contain only carbon and hydrogen atoms. If you don't know what Lewis structures are, you should probably not be spending time watching this video because you won't have any idea of what I'm drawing. Anyway, let's get started. We'll start at the simplest organic molecule. And now let's figure out how to name it. All there is to naming organic molecules is to count how many carbon atoms there are. In this case, we only have one carbon atom. So there's going to be a lot of memorization involved with nomenclature. And for example, we need to know that if organic molecule contains one carbon, it's going to be called methane. Alright, so all we had to do was count how many carbon atoms there were and memorize that its name would be methane. So let's do another one just so we get the hang of what we have to do. So, once again, we just count how many carbon atoms there are. 2 carbon atoms. So this won't be named methane because it doesn't have one carbon atom, it has 2. If it has 2 carbon atoms, its name is ethane. All we did was count how many carbon atoms there are. Let's do another. Alright, let's count how many carbon atoms there are. 3 carbon atoms. Alrighty. So if a molecule has 3 carbon atoms, then it will be called propane. Alright, let's do one more. Alright, so who has an idea of how to go about naming this? What's the first thing we should do? I'll give you a hint. You have to count how many carbon atoms there are. That's right, we count how many carbon atoms there are. You're so smart. 4 carbon atoms. So, if an organic molecule has 4 carbon atoms, its name is butane. Alrighty, now let's do some problems. See if you guys remember. So, can you name this one? Do you remember what to do? Count how many carbons there are. 2 carbon atoms. Do you have to remember what that is from the beginning of the video? Ethane. Right here. Alrighty. What about this one? Try to figure it out while I add all these hydrogen atoms. Alright, did you guys figure it out? That's right, it's propane. So you guys are probably thinking, what the heck? I counted 4 carbon atoms. Why is it propane? Propane's if it had 3. So there's something I didn't include. We're going to add a new rule to naming molecular organic compounds. You have to count how many carbons you can get in the largest path. And when I say largest path, the path that has the most carbon atoms in it. So let me just show you. So we start here, and we go across, and we count 3. Could we have also have gone towards that bottom carbon? And yes, we could. 1, 2, 3. So it didn't matter which path you took, because they both led to the same number of carbon atoms. If one path turned out to be longer, like let's say that I had put this, the blue path would be incorrect because there is a longer path available, or that's there. And then this would be called butane, because there are 4 carbon atoms in the longest path. And you can't go back. So for example, for this light gray path, if we were doing it and we were going, we can't go back to get this last carbon. It's only we can get it in one straight path. Well, not straight, but path that doesn't go in reverse. Alright, so let me give you guys another problem. Actually, let's learn the next organic molecule first. Alright, so let's name this. We have 1 carbon, 2, 3, 4 carbons, 5 carbons. Who knows where that's from? Sesame Street. Don't you feel like you're watching Sesame Street right now? Because we're just counting stuff. Alright, 5 carbon atoms. If an organic molecule contains 5 carbon atoms, its name's going to be pentane. Pentane. Alright, let's do a problem. Let's go back to black. Okay, so can you tell me what this molecule's name is? See if you can determine it before I can finish putting all these hydrogen atoms on it. Alrighty, so what did you come up with? Hopefully it was butane. So how did we figure out it was butane? First, we saw that there's more than one path within this molecule. There's this one, there's this one, and yeah, there are 2 different paths. And unfortunately, neither path can get all of, well, not unfortunately, but it doesn't get all of the carbon atoms. At most, the path can only get 4. So I'll use the blue path as an example. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 carbons. 4 carbons, if you can recall. Right here, 4 carbons equals butane. Alrighty. And by the way, in case you guys were curious, it doesn't matter where you start the path. It could have been from here, go like that. It could have been from here, go like that. I just always prefer going from left to right. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it like that. Alright, so let me give you what all the organic molecules are called up to 12 organic to 12 carbon atoms, because that's usually as far as teachers go. So the numbers on here are a number of carbon atoms. So we got ethane, propane for 3 carbon atoms, butane, pentane, hexane, heptane, octane, nonane, decane, undecane, and dodecane. So what are you going to do with all of these? You're going to have to memorize them. I recommend flashcards. Maybe you can put 3 carbons on one side, and then the other side you write down propane. It's a good way to memorize stuff. Also, one thing that might help is remembering that they all end in ane. This is the suffix used for alkanes. Oh, whoops, not the C. Don't include the C. Just A-N-E. Alrighty, so what did we learn in this video? We learned that you count the number of carbon atoms. And of course, I gave you guys that other rule that you can get in the largest path. Some problems get really crazy, like they give you these long molecules and they want you to figure out what the name is, and it gets really annoying trying to find what the longest path is. But you don't have to worry about this right now. If you're just starting off, this will be later. Just focus on memorizing this list, and learning these 2 rules regarding naming. Alright, I'll leave you with some practice problems that we can go over the answers in the next video. Alrighty, so just give the name for them. You don't have to write down, 2 carbon atoms, ethane, or anything like that. Just write down the name, methane, ethane, propane. I'm not going to include the hydrogen atoms in this one because it's long. And it's not necessary to name them. You don't need to know anything about the hydrogen atoms. Alright, 5 and 6 are a little tough, but I believe in you. Alrighty, so that is it. I hope you learned a lot from this video. Really quick, what I'll be showing you next time in my video will be, as I had shown, this was not butane, it was propane because we counted the carbon atoms. And we got 3 in a straight path. Or not straight path, but in the longest path. But this does not equal this. You know they both have 3 carbon atoms in a path. Because you do have to consider this extra one in the name, but don't worry about that right now. For these problems I gave you, don't worry about them. Because what this one is actually called is 2-methyl propane. So as you see, they both end in propane, but this extra carbon adds this extra bit in the name. But once again, don't worry about these. I'll go over them in the next video. Thank you, comments, and please provide feedback.